Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today. My name is Kevin with Bitcoin Wealth Builders, and today we're going to be talking about cryptocurrency trading, and specifically two indicators that are used by a lot of traders called the MACD and the RSI. MACD stands for moving average, convergence, divergence. It's basically showing plotting two different moving averages. We'll look at that here in a second. And then RSI, relative strength index, we'll take a look at what that is as well. But these are two indicators that if you've been involved or are starting to become more familiar with trading, you've probably heard them. I'm going to give you my take on what they are and how I specifically use them. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. If you haven't already, guys, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. I appreciate anybody that wants to follow along in my journey with Bitcoin. Hope you guys are getting involved in various ways, and would love to hear what you guys are doing as well. But subscribe. If you have any comments, let me know. Also join us on Facebook, facebook.com/BitcoinROI. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or you want me to take a look at anything, Kevin@BitcoinWealthBuilders.com is my email. Feel free to reach out. Usually reply back within the same day. If it's in the evening, it may be the next day. But we'd love to talk with you guys and help you out in any way that I can in your journey with Bitcoin trading, other platforms, or whatever it may be. I want to be of assistance to you guys, and hopefully you guys are getting some value out of these videos. But let's go ahead and get right into our topic for today, which is cryptocurrency trading. The platform that I use is called TradingView, and it's very popular among traders. There's a lot of different features you have with TradingView, and we won't go into every single thing today. Basically, I want to just cover two popular indicators, momentum indicators that are used with cryptocurrency trading, and they are the MACD and the RSI. So the moving average, convergence, divergence is basically a momentum indicator that shows a relationship between two moving averages of prices. It's typically the 26 period and the 12 period EMA. The RSI, on the other hand, is a little bit different. It's a momentum indicator that is calculated using this formula. It's 100 minus 100 divided by 1 plus the RS, or relative strength, where RS is the average gain of up periods during the specified time frame divided by the average loss of down periods during the specified time frame. So it basically provides a relative evaluation of the strength of a security's recent price performance, thus making it a momentum indicator. So its values range from 0 to 100. So when you're in TradingView, and you say you haven't ever been here before, or you just kind of, you haven't signed up for an account or a free account, you can use this for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Your chart is probably going to look something like this when you first pull it up. And so I've got BTC USD. If you just type BTC USD, it'll show you all the different exchanges that have it. Typically, I use Coinbase or Bitfinex, but using Coinbase here. And to throw up the indicators on the chart, there's a little indicator box up here. If you click on that, we're going to look for two indicators. So the first one is MACD, M-A-C-D. It's the top one at the list here. Go ahead and click that. And the other one is RSI. And if you just type in RSI, it's the very top one, relative strength index. We'll go ahead and throw those up. And now we have our two indicators down here below. And we'll keep the settings to the default for now. This is what a lot of traders do. You can go in here and there's a little settings gear here. You can go in here and change the different inputs. It's 14 for the RSI is the default. But we'll just go ahead and keep it there for now. Some traders use different settings for different time frames, but we'll just keep it all default for now. So I've got Coinbase on the daily chart for Bitcoin, and let's go ahead and start with the MACD. So you can see they both kind of run similar paths with respect to where price is going, but they work a little bit differently. So let's go ahead and start with the MACD. So with the MACD, you've got your moving averages. You've got your fast moving average, which is this blue line here, and then your slow, which is the orange line. One other thing to note is the 0 point here. Anytime the moving averages or the histogram is below the 0 line, it's considered kind of a bearish sentiment in the price action. So those are areas you want to keep note of. Another thing too is when this blue line or the signal line crosses over that orange line, this is called a bullish cross. And I'll go ahead and just note that right there with a line. There's another one right over here. So as you guys can see, just dividing up the chart here, those crosses are good indicators of bullish activity about to happen. It's the momentum is changing from bearish to bullish. And if you would have bought Bitcoin on these two particular days, you can see the next couple of weeks it had gone up. So right there is a good indication of the momentum of price action changing. Now, obviously, you didn't buy at the very bottom, but that's okay. You're not looking to be a perfect trader trying to time the very bottom and the very top. If we can have good indicators that tell us when's a good time to be long the market, or when's a good time to be short the market, or just maybe be out altogether. So that's what these are for. So that's the MACD. The other part of it that you want to be aware of is the histogram. So as the moving averages grow further apart, the histogram goes higher and higher. In this case, it's positive. Over here, it's negative. And then as the moving average lines start coming closer and closer together to form an apex, the histogram is going to get closer and closer to the zero line. And that's going to give you a hint that, hey, this is probably going to have a crossover soon. So it gives you, an idea to just kind of be aware of where things are in the market. So that's the MACD, and I'll go ahead and talk about the RSI, and then we'll go over a few of the different ways that I use these indicators. So the RSI, there is no two lines, there's no histogram. It's basically a single line, and typically what they say, if you look at Investopedia definition here, tips on using the RSI indicator. Traditional interpretation and usage of the RSI says that RSI values of 70 or above indicate that is security, or coin in our case, is becoming overbought or overvalued. Therefore may be primed for a trend reversal or a pullback. On the other side, RSI reading of 30 or below is commonly interpreted as an indication of oversold or undervalued condition that may signal a change or corrective price reversal to the upside. So going back to our chart here, with the RSI, you can set your top and bottom lines. Here they're default to 70 and 30, just like the Investopedia definition says. Some people do 80-20. I've seen some people even do 90 and 10. But let's just keep it at 70 and 30 for now. So what this tells us is that anytime the RSI gets above 70, what they're saying is that's generally an overbought condition. At some point, we're going to probably see a reversal in price, or at least a little bit of a pullback. Same thing down below. If we see an RSI, we've got a point here and a point here that says, okay, that's probably an oversold condition. And maybe we want to look at a potential buying opportunity. In fact, if you would have bought on both of these 2 days, that they would have been really the very bottom of the trend for Bitcoin. Those would have been fantastic days to actually buy Bitcoin. So with RSI, if you look at Bitcoin, you can see it doesn't really touch the bottom very often, but it's different with every single coin. If you're looking at Ethereum, it's going to look different. If you're looking at Litecoin or any other coin, they're all going to look different. So what I always say to people, if you're interested in trading or doing trading, is always start with the macro view and then go more deeper and more detailed to the micro view. So always go from macro to micro. So macro is your weekly, your daily view of where the market is headed, kind of in a broad in a broad scheme of things. And then from there you can go to your lower level charts, and right up here on trading view, if you click the down arrow on the time interval, you can go 12 hours, 6 hours, 4 hours, all the way down to 1 minute. I don't recommend that unless you're a day trader. For most people, you're probably not going to go any lower than the hour time frame. But I always say start high at the higher levels and then go down lower for more detailed entry points. So just looking at the daily chart on Coinbase, we can see a couple of different things. Right now, RSI is technically in an overbought condition. MACD is also very high. It's topping out again as well. And so how do we use these? So first of all, you don't just every time RSI gets above 70, it's not time to sell. But because the reason for that is because RSI can stay above 70 for a while, and you can see it did here. It bounced off 70, came back, and you're making new all-time highs here. So it's not necessarily, a cutthroat time to sell or get out of the market, but it's a good indicator, especially if you look over past performance in the history of the coin. It can give you an idea of, well, how long might it stay above 70 if it is above 70, or maybe it's time to start scaling out of a position when it's above 70. So one of the other things with RSI and also the MACD is you have what are called divergences. In other words, the price action is diverging from the indicator action. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my darker chart just because it's a little easier on my eyes, and you guys will probably want to do this too if you're looking at the charts for a longer period of time. But I've got the same chart up here, Coinbase on the day. We've got the RSI up here and the MACD down here. And so looking at the RSI, one of the things we tend to look at as traders is there any divergence in the indicator versus the price action? And what that means is that if we get our trend line up here, are we making new highs, but is the indicator showing us something different? So right here, we have an upward slope here of Bitcoin making a high, coming down, and then making a new high. Now with our indicators, we see a little bit different action down here. We don't necessarily see a new high with the RSI or a new high with the MACD. In fact, we can draw trend lines down here too. And let's just put it right there. We can see the RSI is, let me just straighten that out a little bit, is gently downward sloping. It's definitely not going up like the price action. And same thing for the MACD. It even has a steeper slope. So as traders, we look for these divergences because these are the opportunities or the situations that are really, price action is, even though it's higher, it's technically weakening based on these two momentum indicators. So those are areas where if it doesn't, break through and the RSI doesn't go higher than the previous one, then we're probably looking for a good time to see a pullback in the market. And so we see both a divergence on the MACD and the RSI here. Let's go back a little bit. We definitely see some divergence here. So going back to May to, let's say, June on Bitcoin, we see some big divergences here with RSI. Price is getting a lot higher. You can see, look at the slope on that, and the momentum indicator is getting less and less and less. So this is one of those scenarios where I say, yes, RSI is extremely high right here, but Bitcoin has been historically, a very bullish coin in the long term. The RSI could stay up here for a long period of time. It's not necessarily, okay, we're going to sell here and then stay out. No, because you would have missed out on two more highs. But with the RSI, we can definitely see that this third high, the momentum is definitely waning. And that would be a good time somewhere up here to say, okay, this is probably a good time to start scaling out of my positions. Maybe getting into the dollar, the euro, or maybe some other altcoins or whatever. So we didn't really see that with the MACD, but they don't always line up with each other. They kind of did over here, but not in this case here. So that's why we use both of them. So where are we at today? So Bitcoin is at pretty much an all-time high. We've topped out at 7,500. And we've retraced a little bit down to a little over 7,000. And are we seeing any divergences right now? Well, let's take a look. So we definitely have price action going a lot higher with the MACD. Where we're at right now, it's pretty flat. And RSI, maybe a gentle downward slope. So what I would say for Bitcoin as of today, November 2nd, 2017, 17th is, it's something to watch. I wouldn't put it past Bitcoin to go back up to 7,500 and keep going, but definitely we see a little bit of that momentum starting to wear down. And so it's definitely something we want to keep an eye on. Now let's go down to the let's just go down to the 8-hour chart and see if we see anything different, because these values do change when you go down to the lower time intervals. So we've got our same price action lines up here, but now we see something a little bit more pronounced in terms of the slope here with RSI. Now we see more of that divergence happening. Let's look at the MACD. And yep, if price starts going down from here for Bitcoin, then this MACD moving average will go down as well, and we definitely see a negative sloping line there with a positive. So if I were in Bitcoin right now, this would be a place where, yes, I might want to sell out and take some profits here and wait for the market to decide what does it want to do. Does it want to go back up, make another all-time high, and maybe go parabolic? In that case, maybe we can re-enter once it breaks this trend line. Or maybe does it want to do a little bit of a pullback here and see a bit of a correction? So that is the, this is called a bearish divergence, where price is getting higher, but the indicator value is getting lower. This is called a bearish divergence. So on the flip side, we also have a bullish divergence, and let's see if we can find one here. It may be kind of hard to find on Bitcoin. Let me go to the 4-hour chart, and we could probably find some here. Okay, let's see. Bitcoin is a tough one. We might have to go to a different coin. Let's try Litecoin. Okay. All right, so we're looking at Litecoin here. This is the 4-hour chart, and I'm just kind of going back here to find a bullish divergence. Typically they happen in downtrends. Let me think here if I can, let's look at, I know storage had a recent uptick in price. All right, so here we have storage, which is an altcoin. It's a decentralized cloud storage platform. And so looking at the price action on the 4-hour chart here, we can see we're making lower lows, and all of a sudden we have an upswing, and then we come back down. And so right away with the RSI, I see our extreme low here, well below the 30 level. Looks like it's 13. And then we see an upward slope with RSI here. Now if you look at price action, where this first one happened, we see price going down, but the RSI going up. So this is what we would call bullish divergence. So when we see something like this happen, we see the divergence happening on the MACD as well, at least up to this point. We see the slopes of the indicators going up, where the price is actually making lower lows. So this might be an area where you know, someone might say, okay, this is probably a good buying opportunity for this storage coin. We're on the 4-hour chart here, so that actually would have been a very good buy opportunity. And we can, if we go even further, I'm noticing here that we see a bit of a divergence even on this time frame here. So if I go from the 4-hour to say the 2-hour, we've got another divergence. So we've got price going lower here, and the indicator value actually going up here. So even on the lower time frame, we have a kind of a second confirmation that, hey, this is probably a good reversal point, and it certainly was, because as things turned out within the next, let's see here, 4 days and 4 hours, storage went up 125% during that time. So that is the power of the momentum indicators. And so you want to look at two areas with the RSI. Is it over 70? Is it below 30? And then we're also looking for those divergences, both the bullish divergence and the bearish divergence. And those will give you some good ideas, some good you know, entry and exit points potentially for these coins. Now obviously, you know, with any trading, you always want to put your stops in place. If you're putting an order down here somewhere, you might put an order, a stop order, you know, 5 or 10% below the current price. And that way, if it doesn't pan out. These indicators aren't always perfect because price could always go lower if you're looking to buy, or price could go even higher if you're looking for a sell point. So indicators aren't perfect, but they definitely help you out in letting you know, is this downtrend, is the momentum starting to change here, and definitely it was, or if we're in an uptrend, like something like this, where Bitcoin, for example, is that trend starting to get exhausted a little bit, or is it a good time to maybe start taking profits and pulling out, or at least looking for a short-term pullback? And we're on the 2-hour here, so let's go back to the 4-hour. And so kind of looking at this chart, I would say, yep, it's definitely a time where at least the RSI is showing some negative divergence. This is a bearish divergence. So we want to keep an eye on this. It's not foolproof. We could get another surge in price and just blow through 7,500 and go to 8,500. Who knows? But it's definitely an area where we want to keep a look at, because we do see that divergence happening. So that's it for today in terms of the two main indicators that a lot of traders use. I hope you guys got a little bit of value from this. If you have any thoughts or questions or comments, definitely let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any charts that you're looking at and you want someone to confirm or just take a look at it, send me an email with a screenshot and I'll get back to you and let you know what my thoughts are as I take a look at the charts myself. But that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you next time.